Proceeded far enough to justify the statement, at least, that these technical problems are not insurmountable.
Right, this week's Code 9 deck breakdown. This is from Liptops as ever. I've not read this, so this is the first for me. So
Yeah, I didn't go through it this time. He got it out to me really quickly this time, so I'm really happy.
that's fun. I thought I got it really late, but okay. So this
Well, I mean, I got mine like 8 p.m. yesterday, so I was
yeah,
that's cool.
So this graph shows how the deck scores for each set differs from the average of Coat, from the average. So we're seeing, on the whole, AOA decks have more actions, significantly less upgrades from the average, but Dark Tidings have significantly more upgrades with Worlds Collide than the average, and that's interesting.
Ooh.
So is it about AOA decks that the upgrades are bad particularly? I would say they are good in Mass Mutation, and not Mass Mutation, in Dark Tidings and Worlds Collide the upgrades are good to see that go up, and KOTE, no argument, has the best artifacts. I'm not going to question that one. But that's interesting. I would have thought Mass Mutation would have more upgrades.
No.
No?
Just sort of running it in my head now. No, compared to sets like Worlds Collide, which had had multiple blasters for, that had officers and blasters that were procedurally generated and stuff. Worlds Collide should really take the amount of upgrades which it did. DT kind of makes sense as well because there's a fair few upgrades in that. But no, Mass Mutation, I can't really think of a upgrade which is Mass Mutation. In Mass Mutation, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean it's very interesting to see, and it's also the reduction in creatures in KOTE. I would have thought that KOTE's not known for having bad creatures, but it is known for having the artifacts and everything else.
With KOTE as well, you don't need creatures to win.
Yep, that's true.
You can win purely off your hand, and with things like Ghostly Hand, Nature's Call, you can have minimal creatures, or you can have minimal like stuff like that, and you can utilize them very well.
Yeah. But let's move on. SAS of the decks for each set. So the KOTE 9 average is 73.9. That's like, so KOTE is 71. What's that, sorry?
Yeah, 73.9 for the average of KOTE.
Yeah, and then KOTE is 71. So we just basically have AOA and Mass Mutation keeping it over. But Dark Tidings is
I would like to go back to this after the June or July updates.
Yep, that seems fair.
And possibly go back to it because I think Dark Tidings is very underrated in SAS.
Oh, hell yeah.
There's a lot of cards that go from there, and I mean, I've got a 74 SAS deck, and it's not the greatest in creature control, but it is stupidly efficient. It is so fast and so much fun to play that it definitely deserves more than its 74 SAS.
Oh yeah, that's all my high 60 ones, I'd say, are like that.
I definitely think that we're going to see some DT power tuning coming in from SAS. Mass Mutation kind of definitely makes sense, especially with the addition of the efficiency boost being added to SAS, because Mass Mutation got a huge SAS boost over the last couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of makes sense that I think the average will increase as DT becomes more gets a little bit more in there, and as we see these cards that are underrated actually come more in.
So the other curious thing is the Raw Amber. I find interesting. It's all so close. Yes, ignoring Worlds Collide, but I mean it's all even Worlds Collide's within one. I mean, it's I don't know. That just jumps out at me. Are we all taking decks that have the same sort of patterns, or is just everything averaging out quite nicely?
I think it's averaging out quite nicely. There'll be some really high amber production decks that are covering for the other ones, but I should see 11.4. I like the idea that you've brought enough raw amber on average to forge 2 decks, and then the idea is to fight out for that third deck.
Yeah. No,
it's very
definitely.
interesting to see Worlds Collide having, even if it's just 1.1 amber lower, being at the 10, being the only one to go down, because Worlds Collide, in my opinion, was the biggest set for if you control the board, you control the game.
That is true. But moving on, the stats metrics for each set now. KOTE decks are very strong in disruption but have low efficiency, which is kind of what we already knew. AOA is the most rushy set with high expected amber and efficiency. Again, that's why we love or hate AOA. They've got some amazing rush decks, and they've got, well, 99% of them.
I'm actually looking at mass rotation here. Looking at it in the case of its amber control is the highest, its amber generation isn't that far off, and then its efficiency. So it's a case of, if you looking at here, the mass rotation decks that have been brought here are quick decks that will constantly keep using the same cards to oppress you.
Yeah.
And then you look at KOTE's disruption and you're like, oh yeah, that's why set 1 is the most powerful.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons. But one of the main reasons, yeah. It's fascinating to see the differences between the different sets at the SAS level.
I'm intrigued as to why the efficiency in AOA is the highest. For me, that makes me think people have brought a lot of decks that draw you cards and that you get through, because there's not that much house cheating in AOA to boost up your efficiency in that aspect. So it's got to be a lot of Hexpions, Researchers, Archimedes, Martian Generosities. Generally, I'm going to put that entire thing down to Bandit. That entire AOA, the entire fact that AOA is up there is down to Christoph's Bandit.
We'll play Christoph. Sounds good to me.
Stupidly good deck.
I'll move on to the stats of each deck for the for each set. Even, I mean, KOTE is the set having the least diversity in decks, whilst has the most diversity. I mean, I'm still looking at this going.
I mean, you say Worlds Collide's got the most diversity, but I'm looking at
sure it does.
DT, and DT is
Yeah.
It's got the most proportionate representation.
Yeah.
Shadows is quite low, Saurian is quite low, but the rest are very similar.
I mean, I could dig into this graph a lot more than I have time to do right now.
No, yeah, you definitely could. It's interesting Shadows being so small in some of the, like Mass Mutation and DT, because it seems to get, if you look at going from KOTE to Dark Tidings, that both Brobnar and Shadows get a lot smaller as you go down.
But also, Sanctum is the most common houses in Dark Tiding.
Yeah,
Which...
well, Sanctum and Unfathomable are really good in Dark Tidings.
I don't enjoy playing them as much when I play Sanctum in KOTE. So
Grand Melee. If your opponent's running Grand Melee, and they got it in Sealed, you're in a lot of trouble. If you've got it in Archon, it's a card you need to play around.
That is true. That is true. Right, moving on to the quiz. You got the questions loaded?
No, because I hadn't looked at this information either. I'm gonna get there.
So, in the unlikely event,
45 isn't that old.
What's that? He's 45. Same age my doctor thinks my liver is.
Jupiter.
I have a liver the same age as you, according to my doctor. Anyway,